Hey everybody, it's Kyle. Hey, I want to do a quick video and talk a little bit about energy. Specifically, how much energy our kids have and how they wear us down after a while and they just knock the energy right out of us. So, and I'm going to tell you a little secret about energy that not too many people know that I learned a few years back. And it's this. Generally, most of us only push ourselves to about 60% of our capacity before we mentally give up. And that's an interesting thought, and I'll give you an example of that. I read a few years back, this was a Navy SEAL that I read a book he had written about how they train these Navy SEALs to push themselves past their breaking point so that when they get out in the field and they have these issues that they're prepared for them. And he talked about how people that are long distance runners, like marathoners, how they basically hit a wall at about 16 or 17 miles. I don't really know. I don't run long distances. Try to avoid running if I can at all. And he said that what happens to people is mentally they think they can't go any further. And he says the best marathoners know that that's going to happen, and they've pushed themselves beyond that point and continue to run. And you know, apparently 95% of marathoners finish their races, even though all of them go through this, hit this wall at about 16 or 17 miles, he said. And you know, you can believe that or not believe it, doesn't really matter to me. But what I can tell you from personal experience is this. A few years back, 20 plus years or so ago, I did a little boxing. And one of the things they teach you in boxing is a triggering method. And it goes like this. As you're boxing, you can throw a bunch of punches really fast in an attempt to knock somebody out and become what they call, you just get punch tired is what you get, and your arms become so heavy you can barely lift them. And so in boxing, you get all punched out at this point, and they say when you're really tired in boxing, they train you when you feel like you can't lift your arms, that is the exact time where you better get your hands up, because if you don't get your hands up and you're in a boxing ring, you're going to get the snot beat out of you. And so you create this triggering mechanism. They'll put you in a ring and you'll fight with a guy for a long time, and you'll just punch. And then they'll see you go into the state where your hands drop. And that's when you just bring them up as quick as you can and you start triggering. Anytime you're tired, you bring them up. Right? So if you punch, you get tired, you bring them up. And you just hold them, because you have that extra energy that you don't really know about. And until you learn that triggering mechanism, you'll actually just get beat in the ring pretty bad. You'll get punched out, and then you drop your hands and somebody's going to nail you. So anyway, the way we can apply this with our kids is pretty simple. Is if you've ever said to yourself, I've had enough, or I can't take it anymore, or I'm just exhausted, those can be words that can trigger you into a state where you get your hands up and keep going, right? And let me give you an example of that. It's been a while back, but a couple of weeks ago, or maybe months ago, my son had an issue where Netflix, they took off one of his favorite shows, at least a couple of the seasons, and it set him into a tizzy every night. And after about 3 or 4 nights in a row where he was having problems and I was getting home and he was just fighting with me and going through meltdowns, I got to a point where I got kind of exhausted, and I thought, I can't take this. And I thought, wait a minute, you know, I remembered my boxing principle, and it triggered me to say, you know, yes, I can, right? And so you have more energy than you can imagine, and you just have to trigger that extra energy, because you've always got it there. And the final example I'll give you is this, if you've ever watched like the NBA Finals, you'll see these guys on the court where they just put their heart and soul into their basketball game. And then if they win the championship when the game is over, they're exhausted, right? They played 7 games in 14 days every other day for 2 straight weeks, and they're just exhausted from these constant barrage of running up and down and playing these games. And you can tell they're just out of energy. But the minute they win the game, they jump up and down, they run up in the stands and find their families. Now, where does this energy come from? Well, they've got it. They just don't know they have it. And then after they go hug their families and they get their trophies, they go out and they party all night long, and they're out for 8, 9, 10 straight hours partying with their team and with their families and with the fans. And you wonder, where does this energy come from? Well, it comes from the same place I'm talking about. So the point here is pretty simple. You're only really using about 60% of your energy. Don't fool yourself. You've got extra energy. You just have to tap into it. And the way to do that is to set up triggers. So the next time you say, oh, I'm so tired, let that be a trigger for you to say, you know what? I'm going to stand up straight and I'm going to go right back at it, right? And then if you say, I can't take it anymore, let that be a trigger for yourself. Stand up straight, go right back at it. And what you'll find is you have a lot more energy than you think you do. And 90% of the time, if you can garner enough energy to get through a specific situation with your child, you'll win that battle. And you'll win it with your child, and you'll win it with yourself. And ultimately, your child needs your energy. They need you to be at your best state, to have your best energy, so that when you're dealing with them, you can deal with them properly. So hopefully that's helpful. Remember, you're only using 60% of your energy. You've got it in reserve. Draw upon it when you need it, and let your kids see your very best. So I'll leave that with you. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.